Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 13th July 2016. The first article is related to the Uniform Civil Code. Now, first we need to understand what are personal laws. The laws which confront our lives from our birth to death, we call them as personal laws. For example, laws related to marriage, maintenance, adoption, and custody, guardianship of children, and succession, all these come as the marriage are also personal laws. In India, different religions have different personal laws guiding their members. So having one common personal law for all the religions, we call that as Uniform Civil Code. Now in this context, let us know few points. There is no one personal law in the country which is complete and just in itself. Every personal law has orals. Gender justice is missing under every personal law. And the second is judicial pronouncements from time to time. They try to bring in some level playing field. For example, in Geeta Hariharan case, if you see, government, this court has clearly said that the mother will be the guardian for the children. So previously it was the father in Hindu religion who is supposed to be the guardian for the children. And finally, the society or social change through the legal means will not happen abruptly. It has to happen over a period of time. So the dynamics of social transformation through the instrument of law from diverse backgrounds can take certain times to adjust itself. So in these circumstances, achieving of uniformity of law shall be gradual rather than being abrupt. So that is what is the thing which we need to look into. Coming into fast food, what is the context of this? The Kerala recently has imposed 14.5% of the tax on pizzas, burgers, etc., which are supplied by multinational restaurants. In this context, changing the food consumption behavior of the people, it is possible with taxation, but the taxation shall be rational. If you see in Mexico, the similar taxation of 8%, it has brought down the consumption by 5.1% for the fat-rich foods. But if Kerala, if you observe, so these are on specific food items rather than on all the food items which consists of higher fats. So it means there is no uniformity in the case of the application of the law. And trans fats, these trans fats are hydrogenated fatty acids which are generally used for increasing the shelf life of the oils. Most of the sweet shops, etc., they use these hydrogenated fatty acids. They're also called trans fats, which increase the risk of coronary artery disease. Now, in this case, the trans fats have not been brought under this particular law. And again, packaged food which we consume consists of high salt content, which is reason for the hypertension and other lifestyle diseases. So, if we want to bring in a food consumption behavioral change, it has to happen through the uniform and strict rational implementation of the law. Now coming to Suburban Rail, let us compare the Delhi Metro with Mumbai Rail, Suburban Rail. Mumbai Suburban Rail almost has 10 deaths per day, either through accidents or through suicides. On the other hand, Delhi Metro is built to be totally safe. A total ecosystem is built around the safety. So in this context, if we have to transform the Mumbai Suburban Rail as Delhi Metro on safety standards, the prices are also the money is the major constraint. So in this context, what the author says is, the Delhi Metro charges around 100 paise per kilometer. The same can be charged by the Mumbai Suburban too. So people are ready to pay for the better services, and this leads to the increasement of infrastructure and better safety to the passengers. And coming to India-Africa relations, the Prime Minister Modi, he has completed his 4-day-nation tour. So the pragmatism has prevailed in the discussions. The major areas of discussion are petroleum, natural gas, that is energy, and then the food, because with Mozambique and Tanzania, India has signed an agreement to import the pulses. And the third thing is maritime security. You all know that various islands such as Seychelles, India is building various ports as an extension to its Sagarmala projects. So India want to synergize its Sagarmala project with the South Africa's Operation Fakisa. Operation Fakisa. What the Operation Fakisa does is, it wants to build the blue ocean naval capabilities by taking all the African countries into confidence. India wants to synergize with this project of the Africa. But however, if you observe the China situation, the trade of China is almost 3 times higher than India. It comes close to $72 billion, and India's trade is just, $200 billion is the China, and India's trade is just 1/3 of this, around $70 billion. So it means a lot of potential is untapped in China. And the second thing is, many of the African countries are also closely tangled in trade with China, especially South Africa, and these countries are part of the One Belt, One Road initiative of China. So in this context, these can pose certain challenges to India's engagement, but by and large, India and Africa, they have maintained greater historical relations which can take these relations forward. And coming to Jammu and Kashmir issue. So how to regain the peace? You know that after Mr. Burhan Wani's death, a series of issues or series of incidents related to violence are occurring. Now, so after a remarkable victory for democracy where more than 60% of the people have participated in the elections in Jammu and Kashmir, the issues related to Article 370 and beef eating and also political vacuum created after the death of the chief minister, all these have led to alienation of the people, and added to that, excessive use of the force by the police will further worsen the situation. In these circumstances, the government and the Prime Minister in specific has asked for armed forces, that is police forces, to apply the restraint. And the second thing is, all-party parliamentary delegation which has visited the Kashmir way back in 2011 that can be repeated to assure the Kashmiris of a goodwill from India. And finally, effective implementation of the Common Minimum Program and assurance of the development and employment for the Kashmiri youth by coalition government in Jammu and Kashmir. These things can change the situation in the long run. And coming to South China Sea, you know that in 2012, after the trade-off between China and Philippines in South China Sea, the matter was taken to the International Court of Arbitration at The Hague. Finally, the Hague Court has declared that the China's claim over the South China Sea is not legal, and China is encroaching the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. So in this context, what the China says is it is going to ignore the judgment, and the judgment has no binding effect on the China. And added to that, the Hague Court also clearly said that the China has no claim over the South China Sea at all, and the historical proofs which it has provided are not valid. Now, yesterday we have seen 3 points. One is the ASEAN did not show a collective strength to fight against the China on South China Sea. Especially Laos, Cambodia, they did not support the other littoral nations. And in this case, in ASEAN, any decision has to be made unanimously. That's why the ASEAN is unable to give a common fight against China. If these countries are able to do that, it will provide for a greater counter to the China. And what is the India stand on this? India, when President Obama has visited, clearly declared that there shall be freedom of navigation and overflight and uninhibited or impeded commerce on the South China Sea. And India wants every dispute to be settled through peaceful means and respect for the international laws and order. So that's what India's status is. Now, coming to unified syllabus. You know that today, with regard to the entrance into various professional and commerce colleges, the marks or board marks are becoming a criteria. In certain states, the boards issue very liberal marks compared to the CBSE. That's where especially in the degree colleges, it is becoming a major hindrance for the other states. So in these circumstances, the center wants to bring in common science syllabi and also a common test, etc., to bring in a level playing field across the students. And then, with regard to India-Japan trade ties, you know that in 2011, India-Japan has signed an agreement that is called Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. So according to this agreement, a framework will be signed on tradable goods between India and Japan. So Japan is the second largest consumer after China for the sesame seeds. So in this context, India is the largest producer and exporter, and China has stopped importing this from India on the reason that they consist of higher amounts of the pesticide. Now India is trying to boost the export of these products. So these are the important news for today. Thank you very much. All the best.